There's nothing quite like Mars going direct that feels like a game changer, but there is a close second, and that is Mars stationary. Mars standing still in the sky means that it is closer to the Earth than it might otherwise be. It is heightened in significance and symbolism for us. Mars represents thriving and surviving. It represents what lights us up, what attracts us, and what it is that we within ourselves might cultivate to feel like we're able to draw towards us that much more intently and ferociously exactly what it is that we want. It is the part of us that desires to know ourselves and to use our will wisely in the direction that we desire to go. Well, this week, Mars is standing still in the sky. And as we navigate this time, we're going to feel its energies heighten that much more. There just might be an underlying electric trend of feeling frustrated, feeling uncertain, but also feeling like we are on the precipice of a breakthrough. That breakthrough is going to be characterized by taking responsibility for what is for us to take responsibility for and surrendering the rest. In this way, this powerful Mars going direct, which happens technically at the very beginning of next week, well, we are going to start to feel those breakthroughs, those shifts in energy, and that sense of things finally moving forward. Well, that might just find us before this week is out. Hello, fabulous friends, fans, and superstars. Welcome to your horoscope for the week of February 16, 2025. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. And a massive shout out to Gemini Brett, one of the most renowned astrologers alive today, is coming to Synchronicity University. And you've got less than 2 weeks left to choose your tuition rate to learn from the one and only Gemini Brett. Links are below. Mars standing still in the sky, stationary but gearing up to go direct, is hanging tight a supremely harmonious alignment with Saturn. These two planets remain in what astrologers call within orb, which means that their connection might not be precise, but it's close enough so that we know they are exchanging energies. They are speaking with each other. And these two might on the surface seem to be very different energies. They may seem to be at odds, but they do have certain things in common. Now, it was the ancients that characterized both of these planets as malefics. That can seem like a stark way to say planets that maybe some people think of as not so easy, not so good, or not so nice. But of course, we know that all energies out there, ultimately, all they want is to be honored, and that it's all part of the complexity that makes us whom it is that we uniquely are. Now, Mars and Saturn on the surface might seem like they don't have a whole lot in common, and yet both of them do involve being able to tap into an awareness around what it is that you really want and what's the wise course of action to take. Consider the glyphs of these two planets. With Mars, which is the faster moving of these two planets, we get a circle, and the circle has often been conceptualized as a symbol of wholeness, of completion, of self-containment. And that circle has an arrow arising from it, which is taking action from a place of wholeness, from a place of self-knowledge, knowing yourself as independent and complete, and knowing that you can act from that place with intention and precision. Whereas the glyph of Saturn holds within it a crescent, which represents soul, but then it also has a cross, which actually is above the crescent. And this represents matter, the physical realities of our existence. And in this way, it invites us to not only look at what's happening on those inner levels of soul, but also how we might actually use the energy of soul to manifest, to honor the fact that we are incarnated in this life for a reason, and that we just might be able to take the power of soul at our foundations and to have that affect the matter, which is the physical realities of our lives. And that can be the way that we live in a very real way, in a mundane way, but that can also be what it is that we've manifested in terms of what it is that we feel good about. Now, soul has lots of different connotations. Of course, we like to think of soul as this more elevated part of us, and it is in a sense, but the cross as well, when it is influenced by soul, it helps us to act from a place so that we then manifest from a place that, when rooted in soul, ultimately helps us to keep our promises to ourselves. And that is a powerful way towards self-respect that is earned through consistent action. And that is a powerful way to understand the glyph of Saturn itself. So when the two, as they're called, malefics, are speaking in supreme harmony, well, it's like they are able to get along that much better, support each other that much more. They're not fighting against each other where the instinct wants one thing and to act one way, but the realities of our external manifested circumstances are leading us in another direction. But when they're getting along well, it means that we're that much more connected to what really matters, what our truth is, and where it is that we want to use that understanding of truth towards healthy motivation, towards acting on our own behalf, but also understanding that we are acting from a place of knowing that there might just be something specific we're hoping to manifest. Now, what we want to manifest, that could be a state of being, a state of happiness, a state of joy, but that could also be practical gains we're hoping to make, like achieving goals that matter to us. That is also very valuable, and actually to take action on your own behalf to achieve something that you've decided is worth achieving, that represents success to you, is in and of itself a statement of self-value. It is in and of itself a statement of self-respect. And in that way, self-respect isn't won because of what you actually were able to have outcomes happen, right? That are not always necessarily in your control, but that self-respect comes because you acted from a place of feeling like you knew what you wanted to do, what you had to do, what was the right thing to do to get you to the ends that you hoped for. It is the action itself that seems to work in harmony with the intention. And the intention under this vibration is not immediate gratification, but rather it is the intention of delayed gratification towards the greater reward. That willingness to be patient, but to act intelligently and to have our own actions be measured towards the outcomes that we want, well, it's like it sets us up for even wilder, bigger gains than anything we could have had we just relied strictly on instinct. There's something about delaying gratification that not only allows the bigger rewards to be gained, but they're the kind of rewards that have the potential to last, to bless our lives for a very long time to come. What comes quickly has a way of burning out just as quick, but what it is that is a slow crawl, what it is that we end up manifesting or experiencing as a result of what we've consistently done over a period of time, well, the attainment of whatever it is that we're hoping for, well, it's that much sweeter, it's that much more rewarding, but it's also there in a way that achievement ends up being something that defines us for a very long time to come. And that is a great gift of how those larger rewards are promised to us now. It's like we can see them in our view, and we can see how doing the right thing, doing the consistent thing is going to get us where it is we're hoping to go. But all of that is not to say that this is going to be easy. I'm sorry to say, but like I said, delayed gratification, it often means choosing as Scott M. Peck called it, The Road Less Traveled. So this is a book I'm a huge fan of. I know I talk about this book from time to time, and I have for many, many years now. So many years, I think I've been here on YouTube since 2008 is how long I've been talking about this book, because I've read it so many times over the years. I always get something out of it. And it was this huge phenomenon back in like the 90s. But in this book, what is the road less traveled? Well, if we really want to distill it to its core, it is the road of self-knowledge. That is the road less traveled. It is the road of deeper contemplation, of knowing that you can do the very difficult work to heal whatever it is that gets in the way of a life that is lived with intention and focus. And the only way you're going to get there is the path of self-knowledge. That's really hard for some people to embrace that path. It is hard to look at some truths within yourself. It's a lot easier sometimes to look outside of ourselves, to blame other people, places, things, and situations, rather than to just sit with the feeling of whatever it might be. The loneliness, the betrayal, the uncertainty, the frustration, when it feels as if life should be different than it actually is. And it's the willingness to feel it itself that is the road less traveled, but it is only by going through can we get to the other side. And the other side is a life that feels a whole lot less burdensome. But with the trine of Mars and Saturn that is ongoing, with Mars certainly at the height of its power, this also has the potential to show us something about what happiness we are responsible for and what we are not. Where it is that we do have a sense of agency over certain things and where we don't, and to make peace with those contradictions is part of the gift of this time. But ultimately, the frustration that is felt is asking us to fully accept this very truth, that we alone in many ways are responsible for our own happiness, for our state of peace, for our state of well-being, and that whatever might feel uncertain or chaotic in our lives, whatever we wish were different, we can in some way approach it and deal with it, but from that inner place of still owning our own happiness, we'll become that much more effective at having a sense that the cosmos is supporting us to go in the directions that we desire, that we choose. Now, I know as of recently, I've been saying to you that just wait till Mars is back in Cancer as it is right now, because this is where we get to see that Mars retrograde isn't always a bad thing, right? It may sound like, oh my God, retrogrades, and people kind of freak out. But the truth is that retrogrades are a chance to reflect. They are a chance to revisit, a chance to reconsider. And that can be a deeply personal process. With Mars in the sign of Cancer, this represents an energy that is very private, really. It is deeply emotional. It is an energy where it can feel like there are powerful emotions at play, but emotions are stirred. Our ability to be able to acknowledge that our emotions are being stirred, these are signs of emotional maturity. To be able to identify that we're having a feeling at all is a powerful way to learn from them and to resolve them as well. And while feelings are very strong with Mars in Cancer, the trine of Saturn says we're also able to understand the wisdom of them, how we might use them to our advantage. Cancer is also the energy that has to do with the foundations of our life, what it is to be at home within ourselves, in our spirit, in our body, in our skin, but also in a very literal way, having to do with our living conditions, having to do with our understanding of what home is for us. And that can be deeply personal. We live in a time now where more people are more strongly identified with a land that is that which is not of their ancestors. And that really is the story of the Americas themselves. The Americas are filled with people who are not necessarily indigenous to this side of the planet, but feel a stronger sense of rootedness here than they do to those lands from which their ancestors come from. And so our identity of home can be a country, it can be a culture, it can be an ethnicity. For others, it might be a city or a state or a neighborhood. But whatever it is that you consider some of those very foundational parts of identity to be, some of those descriptions that describe where you are from whom you are, from where you are, it is that part of us that is stirred at this time with this Mars retrograde season that's been ongoing. But at least right now, I think we're going to elevate our understanding. We're going to be able to understand more deeply, but with a greater sense of some reverence, some respect about what our personal definitions of home just might be, whether that's an inner state or some external circumstance. Patriotism tends to feel very strong when we get Mars in the sign of Cancer. Now, how is that going to affect or change how we act? That sense of consciousness around choosing the right actions that help us to feel steady, strong, and secure where we are in the identities we hold, I think that's going to be part of a feeling, a motivation that a lot of us might be having at this time as well as a collective, and certainly within our own respective communities and identities as well. Mars direct is an energy that we can feel. We will feel a shift. Mars represents our energetic state of being, but it's also about where we are motivated to pour our energy, to pour ourselves towards. And when we have Mars standing still in the sky, we gain very valuable insights into how we've been using our energy, where we've been pouring it, and where by pouring it we are filled, or where it is that we are drained. We're able to be more honest with ourselves about just what that is feeling like, what is the balance of what we're giving and getting, and what it is to take the best of care of ourselves, to be mindful of our own energy so that we keep it strong, so that then we can do that much more of whatever it is that we desire to give more of ourselves to. And while Mars technically goes direct at the very beginning of next week, there is going to be a notable shift in each of us individually. And when that shift comes, it'll be undeniable. And for some, that shift might be felt before this week is out, and we're looking at towards the end of the week. But do know that, especially as we are smack dab in the middle of the week, there are going to be a variety of tensions, of frustrations, of energies that a lot of us are feeling. And it becomes that much more important to provide ourselves and hopefully others as well with some grace, knowing that there is so much stirring within many of us out there. Now, this isn't going to be helped by the fact that on Thursday, Mercury will speak in a conversation of tension with Jupiter. In traditional astrology, we also have this concept of what's called essential dignities. And it's this idea that planets really love being in certain signs, and they really don't like being opposite the signs that they really like being in. And so consider that it is on Thursday that Mercury will square Jupiter. Mercury right now is in the sign of Pisces. Mercury most loves to be in the sign of Virgo. It is at home in Virgo, it's strong in Virgo, and in the energy of Pisces, Mercury has to work extra hard to decide how it is going to direct its best energies, how it is that it's going to focus itself on a level of mind, how it's going to cultivate the gifts of communication and expression. And this isn't a bad thing. It means that expression and communication, it requires intentionality, but we're willing to do the work to get there. And it is not uncommon to see A lot of writers have Mercury in the sign of Pisces. And that is because the best writers, well, they tend to work at it. They tend to do it a lot. They tend to cultivate the skill of writing so that they actually can reach people with what it is that they have to say. But what we also get here is we look at Jupiter. Jupiter right now is opposite Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is its home sign. And so again, we see a planet working extra hard, far from where it prefers to be. And it is here that Jupiter as well needs to figure out, or works extra hard to consider, the expansive qualities actually end up being of benefit, that it isn't simply indulgence, but has some intention behind it. And so when these two planets speak in a conversation of tension, we are learning about how to direct mind, how to direct conversation. Now, when I see Mercury square Jupiter, one of the most immediate applications of this is over-promising and bragging. That may be a tendency, especially around the middle of the week. And here's the thing, sometimes we overpromise and we really have the best of intention to do what it is that we're promising. But maybe it is that we're not taking into account that we don't have enough time, or maybe it just is that we cannot meet whatever promise it is that we are making, as sincere as we might be. There might be other layers of motivation there as well. Maybe it's hard to say the thing that we know needs to be said, or maybe it is that we're saying things that ultimately are not effective or not actually helping a given situation. Our own perceptions might be off. Whether it is that we are bragging, right? We are promising because our perception of what we can do is greater than what we have already shown and proven to ourselves. But it can also be the case that it is our desire to meet certain expectations and the motivations that can be rather complex, that can have us seeing things a certain way that may not necessarily be completely accurate. And this is also about heightened expectations from ourselves, from other people as well. And so when I see Mercury square Jupiter, and especially when I see that both planets are not in signs where they are necessarily operating at their easiest or at their best, I think to myself, it's a good idea to provide yourself some patience, some grace, and to others as well, in terms of what's being promised to you, and to understand that whatever people might be saying, in many ways might be more a reflection of them than it is of you. We could even say that's often the case. But also, whatever conversations or interactions we find ourselves in, and especially however we might interpret them, ultimately becomes part of an energy of uncertainty or confusion, or it fuels frustration that will, with that turning of Mars, give way to that much more a feeling of freedom, that much more a feeling of empowerment. You know, there's that saying, it's always darkest before the dawn. Well, I'm not saying that it's necessarily going to be dark. I am saying it might be foggy, right? It might be confusing. It might feel uncertain. There might not necessarily be the best of weather conditions. I know something about that right now. I am in South Central Ontario. There's a storm going on out there right now. I know that there are a lot of people on the east coast of North America that can relate to that right about now. But yeah, sometimes we get weather like this, but it's almost like it needs to happen, at least in this part of the world, in order to then really appreciate what we actually can do, what could actually be good about this moment. And sometimes when it is that we've said the exact wrong thing, or we said the thing that we wish we hadn't, or made the promise that we wish we hadn't, that we then get to pause and ask ourselves, well, why did I make that promise? And is that something I even want to do? Does it make sense for me? Is it loving? Is it wise? Is it respectful of whatever context in which you made that promise or that assertion, or you said that you could do something when perhaps really you're either not there yet or it's just something you don't want to do? And it's important to provide others with grace in another way as well. And that is that we can't get other people to do exactly what it is that we've prescribed for them. We can't get other people to follow a script. And when it is that you want to get other people to follow a script, you are setting yourself up for disappointment. No matter what you might put into place in the hopes that they're going to do exactly what you want, it is people that are going to still do the best that they can do. And there's a need to trust the higher wisdom in all of that. Now, finally, on Tuesday, the sun enters the sign of Pisces. Happy birthday to all the Pisces out there. We begin Pisces season, and that means for the next month, the energies get a lot more mystical. They get a lot more imaginative. And this becomes important for another reason as well. There is quite the party brewing in the sign of Pisces. And so much of the characteristic of the first half of this year, but really all of this year, is how it is that in many ways we are coming to understand, to culminate, to fully appreciate the value of Piscean energies as part of the human experience, on our way towards understanding the value of Aries energy. Pisces energy is compassionate. It's mystical. It's a oneness of all things. It is feeling the bliss of knowing that you're connected to everyone and everything, but it transcends the self. It is an energy that invites us to cultivate compassion, sometimes to the point of sacrifice, self-sacrifice as well. There are healthy ways to do that. There are ways that we sacrifice where we get even more than we give. And then there are ways we might sacrifice that actually end up costing much more than it's worth. And so this is part of the distinction. However, what we have is the other sign of the zodiac highlighted, where we're going to have important placements moving Pisces, Aries, Aries back to Pisces in some cases as well. And Aries energy is very different. Aries is of the self, of the individual. It is trusting your own instincts. It's doing exactly what it is that you want to do, no matter what anybody else says or thinks about it. None of that matters. What matters is you, putting yourself at the center. And in that way, it is an energy that's very self-initiating. It's self-trusting to the point of the entrepreneurial vibe, the pioneering vibe. There's an authenticity here that is rooted in spontaneity, being willing to not only take a break, like not only feel like you have to pause or reflect, but actually go from stimulus to response very quickly, is part of what Aries energy represents. And so you can see that on the surface, these two energies seem to be very much at contrast, but this contrast is a big part of what we as a collective are going to be exploring now and in the months ahead. Wherever the sun goes, it brings with it illumination, it brings with it a higher vision, but it brings light. It helps us to see differently, to see more clearly, and in this case, to see compassion differently, to see what it is to care differently in some way. And to care from a place of being open is a powerful way in which we might be redefined in the process. Now, Mercury is already here. What else is here? Saturn's here. We have got Neptune here. And then we step into next month. And what happens? Well, we're going to have Neptune leave this part of the sky. We are going to have Venus retrograde. Once we step into April, Venus will move back into Pisces. Next month, we also kick off a Mercury retrograde season, which will involve Mercury going back and forth between the energies of Aries and Pisces. And of course, Saturn and Neptune both are moving back and forth between Aries and Pisces as a key characteristic of this year. So you can see here, it's part of a larger lesson that a lot of us are in, but at least right now, with the sun moving into the sign of Pisces, it brings with it a certain sensitivity and a certain glorification of actually caring in a deep way, enough so that we feel the experience of others, enough so that we allow ourselves to be open to the energetic and emotional experiences that all of us have on this planet, that we're not nearly as separate as we would like to sometimes tell ourselves that we are. Now, how can we do that while also taking the best of care of us so that we don't lose ourselves in that oneness? And where is it that we can lose ourselves to find ourselves, but where is it that we lose ourselves and then we just don't even know who we are anymore? And that's not great either. It's not returning us to essence. And there's something to be said for being so open, being so able to be empathetic that it gives us a sense of renewal, a reminder, even if we can't fully conceptualize it, that we have so much more yet to do in this lifetime. It is in being so connected to the energy of empathy that we find a newfound purpose. And we're that much more able to do so much more of all there is to do in a very practical sense. And in so doing, we just might come to know ourselves as more, as stronger, as more powerful. Through giving, we find strength within. What I love about this week for us, there's so much here. It's a powerful and meaningful astrological moment. I'm going to say, I love the energy of, well, look, I think it's all about Mars station direct. That is the star of the show now. That's what we're going to focus the short horoscopes on a little bit later in this video. But it is ultimately Mars going direct that is going to be this breakthrough moment, a shift of energy that all of us feel in one way or another. And it can be not just a game changer, but this sense of something shifting within ultimately roots us. And in an instant, some of us might find ourselves like growing and gaining maturity and understanding what's the right thing to do, the responsible thing to do. And in so doing, feel that much stronger as well. When that shift of energy comes, it's undeniable. And for some, it's going to come before the week is out. For others, it's going to be at the very beginning of next week. But on the way there, there might be energies of frustration, but it really is part of this cosmic perfection that is setting the stage for just how sweet that shift can be, that returns us to a sense of empowerment of what it is to be truly ourselves in our strength, and focusing that on the outcomes that we know are rooted in a sense of wholeness. Well, it is those outcomes that are that much more rewarding. Well, thank you so much for watching. What do you love about this week? Let me know in the comments below. I love reading you guys, and to prove it to you, here's some of my most recent favorite comments. Thank you to everybody who likes, who comments, who subscribes, who shares, who thumbs up. All of it means so much. I'm so grateful for you. Thank you. And of course, if you want to know how all this wonderful stuff for you speaks to you in your sign, log on to NadiyaShahSuperstars.com, where you get expanded exclusive video scopes each and every week for each and every sign for as low as just $3 a month with choose your membership rate. Higher tiers get you things like all access passes to Synchronicity University events, consultations with me, and so much more. All of this in the superstar space at NadiyaShahSuperstars.com. Links are in the description below. Synchronicity University has massive news just announced. right at the last minute, we have got a very big dog, one of the brightest dogs in astrology today, the world-renowned astrologer, the one and only Gemini Brett is coming to Synchronicity University. And of course, we're going to have Ursula STOCKDER. We're going to have me. We're going to have an amazing speaker series that's just been announced as well. There is so much to look forward to this March, right around the corner. And you've got just a little time left, less than 2 weeks left, to choose your tuition rate as we start this week. As low as just $5 a class. This is the time to jump on getting in on these upcoming programs, which are starting very soon. So I'm going to start with Gemini Brett. Of course, Gemini Brett is huge. He is a star for a very good reason. Gemini has this very poetic way of expressing and communicating astrology. He is considered a master teacher, and he is somebody who is very much about helping you to understand that it's not just about a chart, but it's about the astronomy of it. Whatever it is that you're learning, he's also helping you to like go outside and see it in the sky. That is one of his great gifts, and that's what he brings that's so unique to astrology. And this understanding of how it isn't just the stars in the chart, but it's the sky. It is the lights in the sky that are showing up within you and that are represented in the chart that makes how he teaches astrology, how he gets you to feel the sky truly an experience like no other. I have seen Gemini Brett in action. I had the privilege of being an invited special guest as part of a retreat. I think it was a week-long retreat that happened way back in 2019 with him, Maurice Fernandez, and Ursula STOCKDER. So all three were doing this retreat, and they asked me to come over because this was out in Celestún in Mexico. At the time, I was living in Cancun, so it was just a few hours drive away, and I made the trek. I went out there and I was able to see Brett actually teach. And I will tell you the way in which students were mesmerized, the ways in which you could feel what he was teaching in your heart. Well, it was such a powerful thing to witness without a doubt. It was very, very special. And he's got a very loyal following for very good reason. He is one of the great celebrated astrologers of our time. And his trust in Synchronicity University really means so much to me. And I know so many students are going to get so much out of his class. Now, this is the only place, Synchronicity University is the only place that you will ever get to learn from Gemini Brett at that low rate of $5 a class. There is nowhere else on the planet that you get to learn from him at that rate. And it's all part of our mission of making these incredible astrologers accessible to the masses. It's about taking what it is that we are able to present in terms of these amazing teachers, the trust that they show in Synchronicity University, and so that everybody out there can actually have that moment in class with them, learning from them in a way that you just can't get at other schools. Well, that's part of what makes Synchronicity so special. And I'm so grateful to all of you out there who do support the school, who have come through as students in the past and in the present as well. So if there is a class that you are not going to miss, it really should be Gemini Brett's class. It is a hugely special privilege and honor to have him teach at Synchronicity University for as low as just $5 a class. Now, I do want to add as well, I know inflation is a thing. I know it's been happening, but so far we've been able to resist that and keep the classes at just $5 a class. And that's what we're really trying to do right now. It's possible because of the amount of people who are able to sign up for the classes. That's really what makes the biggest difference. So your support, again, just on that level, keeps the price lower for everybody. And it is choose your tuition rate. And I know a lot of people can only do it at that $25, but there are a lot of people who actually do pay more. And to them, I thank you so much as well for supporting our teachers and supporting the school, making it that much more likely to thrive for more students. And yeah, Gemini Brett, he really is one of these amazing examples of the great things we're able to do at Synchronicity University. So when I tell you this is one class not to miss, this is a rare opportunity. It really is so special now. Gemini Brett is coming to Synchronicity University. You've got less than 2 weeks left as we start this week to choose your tuition rate, as low as just $5 a class, an unheard of rate to learn from the one and only world-renowned Gemini Brett at Synchronicity University. Links are in the description below. Synchronicity University is proud to present the return of the one and only URSULA STOCKDER, uncovered the artist within through the hidden symbolism of astrology. Ursula is on our faculty. She's been at our school a few times already, and she's amazing. Students absolutely love her classes. She is a Jungian analyst. She specializes in tarot and the symbolism there, and astrology, and understanding the myth and the power of image as well. And she's also a renowned artist as well. And so this time she's coming with this focus on understanding how to use astrology to bring forward your creative best, your artistic best, whether it is that you just want to get into being a more creative person, or you want to dabble in arts now and you want the inspiration, or you are a professional or semi-professional artist. This class is for you, regardless of your medium, regardless of the type of artist that you are. And Ursula is going to guide you over the course of a 5-week journey to bring forward, with the help of astrology, with the help of understanding astrology and its symbolisms that much more deeply, that much more profoundly. This is going to be a 5-week experience and nothing less. Now, as I said, Ursula has taught with us before. She's done a couple of programs on tarot, for example. She's done programs on Jung and astrology as well. And you can actually purchase those at that low $5 class rate as well as an add-on for a limited time. So thank you to her for making that available to students. For those of you who hadn't had a chance to take those programs with her before, now you can choose them as add-ons. There might be a discount as well, but look, $5 a class, already a huge discount there. So make sure you check that out as well. But yeah, learning from Ursula is going to bring forward your creative and artistic superpowers. You can learn a whole lot more about Ursula's class and sign up now at synchronicityuniversity.com. Links are in the description below. Synchronicity University presents me, Nadiya Shah. I am coming to my school, Synchronicity University, and I'm going to be teaching a course that I can't believe it took me so long to actually put together. I am shocked, actually, and it is about travel between you and the world. We're going to be looking at astrology and travel from all kinds of perspectives, and we are looking at relocation astrology, looking at the best times to travel, looking at where you might want to travel, astrocartography, astrolocality, and so much more. This is a 5-week journey that's all about helping you to understand where to be, when you'll be there, how to be there, and so much more. Now, personally, I love using relocation astrology. I've been using it for years and years and years. And I know I've taught like a single class here and there before on relocation astrology, but I've never put together a whole 5-week program on astrology and travel like you're going to get here. And so join me for this 5-week journey this March, only at Synchronicity University. We are going to look at all these different techniques that I have learned and cultivated in my own personal experiences using them over the last many, many years. Now, at least 20 years now, I've actively used relocation astrology. But of course, I've been a student of astrology going way back. Like, it's a wonderful thing to realize how long astrology has been in my life. And Yeah, this is where, it merges my love of astrology and my love of travel. Those of you who've watched me for a long time know how much I love travel so much. I'm going to be traveling very soon. And when I'm teaching this class, I'm going to be on the road as well. I'm going to be in El Salvador and then maybe in Nicaragua, in Mexico City as well. El Salvador is going to be country number 49. So that's the thing. I'm thinking, what's going to be 50? It's going to be Nicaragua or Guatemala, but I'll let you guys know when I get there for sure. But yeah, what a perfect time to be teaching on travel. While I'm traveling, I'll be able to bring that much more fresh energy into the mix. So I hope you'll join me for this 5-week experience. As with all the classes, if you sign up and you can't join us live, remember, you get the recording of the class as well. That is part of your signing up your tuition. That's what you get also. So learn a lot more about each and every class and sign up now at synchronicityuniversity.com. Join me for Between You and the World, the astrology of travel, astrocartography, relocation, Astrolocality, and so much more. Links are in the description below. Synchronicity University presents an absolutely incredible March speaker series. And you've got a limited time left to choose your tuition rate as low as just $5 a class to learn from these incredible astrologers. Some are familiar faces, some are going to be brand new to you. The intention of the speaker series is to give up-and-coming astrologers really their first big breaks, among their first big breaks, give them a chance to shine and to introduce you to some truly brilliant astrologers who are out there. Sometimes we get a really big dog into the mix. Sometimes everybody is brand new. But here we've got a really nice mix of people that some of whom you've seen on my channel before and others, like I said, brand new to you. Thank you for supporting the speaker series. It really is so helpful. And I do just want to put it out there. If you are an up-and-coming astrologer or you know somebody who is that you think really should be teaching one of these classes, giving a talk at Synchronicity University, have them get in touch with us using the contact form over at synchronicityuniversity.com, because I'm always so excited to give up-and-coming astrologers a chance to shine, and even well-established astrologers as well. Whatever I can do to be part of your light reaching more people, I'm super, super happy to be a part of that. So let's look at some of these amazing teachers. Attila. You know Attila, Xanaphar, right? Xan's Astrology. You've seen him on my channel so many times. I love this person. I love his astrology. He is so brilliant. I interviewed him the other day. That interview should be up really soon. And I'll tell you, we had so much fun. And just how much wisdom he has to share, how much he knows. And he's going to be teaching about dwarf planets. And if you want to learn about how to tap into the power of dwarf planets, this is a class you really should take. Just talking to him for an hour on camera, I learned so much. So I know that students are going to get so much out of him. I know you guys love watching him on my channel. You're going to love hearing him talk as well. Scott Hogan is going to do the cards of truth. I'm really looking forward to this class. Now, Scott is somebody that I actually met very spontaneously a couple of years ago. Actually, I was at a restaurant with a friend of mine that I went to university with way back in the day, and he just walked in and he said, "Nadiya Shah." And I said, "Yes, hello, nice to meet you." And he just had such wonderful energy. He told me about what he does on Instagram. And right there, I looked at his Instagram and I was like, oh, you've got to come to Synchronicity University. You've got to teach a class. But it was an open invitation and he finally reached out and he finally is doing it. And I couldn't be happier because I love what he does online. He posts every day, helping you to understand the card of the day and what that means for the energy of the day. And I think so many students are going to get so much out of this. I know that students have asked to learn about the cards of truth. So he's a wonderful person to actually start teaching it with us. So make sure you check that talk out. And his energy is just so lovely. You're going to enjoy the class with Scott without a doubt. Cynthia Rose is a medium and she's going to help you to tap into the power of personal planets in your chart. She's also somebody who you've seen on my channel. Certainly, she's got a strong social media presence and she brings this whole mediumship and mystical aspect to her astrological interpretations that I think is going to add that much more magic into the mix of understanding how important the personal planets are in your chart right now. Yuridia Robles, you know Yuridia, you've seen her on my channel so many times. She actually does monthly horoscopes here as well. So ordinarily she does one video in Spanish every month, looking at the month ahead for each signs. Now she's started to do a video in English as well, so you get 2 videos from her at the start of every month. And occasionally she'll step in when I've got a lot going on. She will help out in terms of the monthly horoscopes and presenting them here on my channel as well to make sure that you guys get those monthly horoscopes for each and every sign. And she and I have worked together many, many times before. We co-wrote a book, which is actually her wisdom. It's back here. It's called Mayan Astrology. And she is considered one of the leading Mayan astrology experts in the world. So this book on Mayan astrology, it's very introductory, understanding the Mayan astrology signs. And it is her wisdom, but it came about as a result of several conversations she and I had over a period of time during the pandemic, actually, when I was staying and living in Mexico City. She and I would get together regularly and we'd talk about this book and we'd work on it. And it was just one wonderful, wonderful, rewarding experience. And I love her so much. And she's one of those people, one of the few people in the world who actually reads my chart that I can go to and say, oh my God, this is happening. What do you think? And she's like, do you realize this is happening? And I'm like, yeah, it's happening. And she goes, yeah, but did you think of it this way or that way? And oh my God, I always learn something from her after a conversation with her, I'll tell you. So she's one of those people who is my astrologer, her and Michael Barwick that you've seen on my channel as well. I've had Ursula look at my chart also. She is so profound as well. So yeah, Yuridia, of course, she's coming back to Synchronicity University as well. I'm super excited about this. Kapil Sin, I know that this is the first time you've ever heard of him for sure. At least on my channel, he's got a strong social media presence of his own. He is an Indian numerologist, and I actually know him because him and his wife lived for a few years with my aunt, because my aunt has sort of this rooming house thing going on. It's wonderful. It's like a party frat house thing. But yeah, he lived there, but also he has the same numerology teacher that my Aunt Humera has. So my Aunt Humera, you haven't met her yet, but you will soon. I keep telling her she's got to teach a class with my school. And Humera is a numerologist as well. And so, yeah, both of them have the same teacher, the same guru. And his Kapil's wife is actually one of their teachers as well. And he, in and of himself, in the conversations I've had with him, he really knows his stuff. So he's bringing this whole Eastern numerology perspective into the mix. And I'm really excited to have him because, like I said, I've talked to him numerology before. And when we've talked numerology, dude really knows his stuff, that I spontaneously said to him, hey, if you want to teach a class, come, I would love to have you teach a class. And he took me up on that offer. So you can see here, learning from this amazing eclectic mix of astrologers, medium, numerologists. Wow, it's going to be a packed, lively, and very fulfilling speaker series this March 2025, only at synchronicityuniversity.com. You've got a little time left to choose your tuition rate, as low as just $5 a class, to learn from these amazing astrologers. Links are in the description below. And thank you. Thank you so much for this moment with you. Thank you for your trust. I'm so very grateful for it and for all of it. I already mentioned earlier, I'm going to be hitting the road. I'm going to be traveling soon, and I'm looking forward to it. I'll be in El Salvador, and I know I'll be in Mexico City. And then I don't know if it'll be Nicaragua, probably be Nicaragua, but it might be Guatemala. And so I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to hit my 50. I promised myself that I was going to visit 50 countries before I turn 50, and I am doing it with room to spare. That is what I intend to do. I can't believe I am here in the middle of a storm. I have not seen snow like this in so many years, because usually I'm not in Canada in the colder months. I love going south, and it has been quite interesting. It's been quite the revelation, but here we are, so it is. And there's wisdom to it, and part of that wisdom I'm sure will be more fully revealed once I'm on the road very soon, in less than 2 weeks' time. I will be in San Salvador. So if you're around, let me know. I'd love to meet for a hug, for a moment, for a consult, whatever it is. I'm super happy to meet friends and fans when I'm on the road. I do want to quickly add consultations with me are now available. There are limited slots available. They're first come, first serve. And the great thing is that we've just set up this whole automated system there. So rather than requesting, going back and forth with a team member, everything is automatic now, which means that you can go onto my website, go to consultations, and when you get there, you choose the length of your consultation. And then you get to look at my calendar, choose a spot in the calendar, you fill out a form, tell me all the info that I might need to be ready for your reading, and then you make your payment, and then you are automatically generated. You receive the Zoom link for your consultation. So everything is done at the same time. The whole process, depending on how much information you want to share, might take 5 minutes, might take 10 minutes, but it is all set up now. So if it is something you're interested in exploring, you could check that out. Now, on the consultation page, know that you can also book a consultation with Andy of Wise Ass Astrology. Now, Andy does his consultations as a choose your rate. So you can choose your consultation rate. And so he's really great if it is that you're more mindful on cost, but you still want to get a great quality reading. And his readings, I mean, I always say plan at least 2 hours to sit with him, because he will go over so many things with you. Where it comes to your chart, he'll answer all your questions as well. So depending on what price point you're interested in, you can get a reading with me or with Andy. And I am right now talking to some other very brilliant astrologers that you're familiar with on my channel to see who else I can get there as well, so that you have access to consultations and all kinds of expressions from different types of people, different price points, and more. So yes, if you're interested, if you're curious, check out the consultation page over on my website. And thank you. Thank you for your trust, and for the people who've been signing up for these consultations and who've trusted me in those moments as well. I've been sharing a lot more on my Instagram, and I've been doing more with my Instagram stories. I've been doing like these Ask Me Anything moments in my Instagram stories. And I was sharing about just how life-changing it's really been to do consultations and just really open it up again. I've maintained a very small group of regular clients over the years, but to actually, just open up my schedule to anybody who can come and, you click, you pay, you can get a consultation with me. This is something I haven't done in many, many years. And it has been incredibly rewarding to see the faces of people, to have people feel safe to share with me. It is something that I am just so grateful for. It continues to shape me. And it is so, Pluto right now is in my 8th house. And to me, it is very Pluto in 8th house, where I see beyond illusions and beyond the armor of people, and I get to see something beautiful and vulnerable and seeking love, seeking to connect with wisdom. And it has been changing my life, and I'm so grateful for your trust. Thank you for that. As much as I'm there in service of you, and I always say in these readings, look, I'm here in service of you. This consultation can be whatever you want it to be. So sometimes I'm just talking and people are quiet. Sometimes people want to have more of a conversation. Sometimes people feel like they have a lot to share that they want to sort of say out loud. Whatever that is for you, I am there in service of you. But whatever it is something that reaches me on a level of heart, and I see the perfection in it. And my hope is that I get to remind you of that as well, but also to answer your questions sincerely and honestly as well, based on what the chart is showing me. So if that's something that interests you, check out the consultation page. I know that Andy also is passionate about astrology. He's there in service of you as well. And be on the lookout for other astrologers there also. Thank you. I'm so grateful for you. And stay tuned. Short horoscopes coming up right now. It'll be a great week. Enjoy. There's nothing quite like Mars going direct that feels like a game changer, but there is a close second, and that is Mars stationary. Mars standing still in the sky means that it is closer to the Earth than it might otherwise be. It is heightened in significance and symbolism for us. Mars represents thriving and surviving. It represents what lights us up, what attracts us, and what it is that we within ourselves might cultivate to feel like we're able to draw towards us that much more intently and ferociously exactly what it is that we want. It is the part of us that desires to know ourselves and to use our will wisely in the direction that we desire to go. Well, this week, Mars is standing still in the sky. And as we navigate this time, we're going to feel its energies heighten that much more. There just might be an underlying electric trend of feeling frustrated, feeling uncertain, but also feeling like we are on the precipice of a breakthrough. That breakthrough is going to be characterized by taking responsibility for what is for us to take responsibility for and surrendering the rest. In this way, this powerful Mars going direct, which happens technically at the very beginning of next week, well, we are going to start to feel those breakthroughs, those shifts in energy, and that sense of things finally moving forward. Well, that might just find us before this week is out. Now, how Mars direct will speak to you in your sign depends on your sun, moon, and rising sign. You want to take all three into consideration and then synthesize the information to make it unique to you. And of course, there are expanded horoscopes over on my YouTube channel, Nadiya Shah, in the superstar space at thefutureismagical.com, and Mars retrograde special horoscopes on my website. Instant downloads are available now at nadiyashah.com. Aries, Mars is your ruling planet. Mars going forward means that something within you feels that much more like you are able to see more clearly, to feel more accurately, and to set your sights on the direction you desire to go. Mars retrograde right now is happening at the foundation of your chart. This is the most private part of your sky, and Mars going forward will give you a new sense of what it is to be at home within yourself, in your spirit, in your body, in your skin. But it can also help you to feel like you are gaining traction or momentum on a matter having to do with your living situation, or maybe even a parent where that applies. The energy of Mars direct, it is measured and it is stable, which does suggest that there is a solid pathway to move towards the changes and the results you desire. Taurus, siblings, cousins, neighbors are highlighted with Mars going direct, and it might feel like something about your relationship with them, it becomes more clear, it is able to gain traction. For some Taurians, though, it just might be in their lives, it feels like they are able to move forward, and you feel grateful for that, and it looks like they are gaining greater stability. Where it comes to a learning or teaching situation, your mind is going to feel very focused, very strong, and you'll be able to grasp concepts that maybe have felt a little hard to really get together or to make those connections before. And this is a chance for you to gain not only traction, but real opportunity to share something that you uniquely have to express. Gemini, money you earn, money you spend, self-love, self-esteem, a financial matter might finally feel as if it is understood more clearly, is able to now move forward, and you start feeling more like you understand what's worth doing for money and what isn't, what's worth spending your money on and what isn't. The saving grace of Mars direct is that it's hanging tight a supremely harmonious connection with Saturn, which means foresight and wisdom meeting your actions. Now, there might be a career boost that is well earned, that might feel like it was a long time coming, but does come with more money. This could also be a powerful time when you are coming to a deep appreciation of what healthy self-love is for you and how to live it. Cancer, identity, who you know yourself to be, priorities, and what matters to you most and first in an instant. You either see it very differently, you come to understand what your real sense of truth is, whom it is you really are, whom it is you're really obligated to, and whom it is that you're not. It all becomes very clear now, and where you might have squandered energies before, they become a whole lot more focused. You understand what's worth fighting for and what isn't. The great thing here is that you're playing the long game with the Saturn trine, which means that it isn't about the instant reward, but that you understand what you're going for in a larger sense, and you're able to delay gratification in order to get there. Physically as well, you might feel a surge of vitality that has the potential to last a long time to come. Leo, what's happening on levels of soul, psyche, spirit, but also this is a very karmic part of your sky where Mars is now moving forward. It is about understanding more deeply what stays and what goes. Karmic blessings might show up out of nowhere. It's based on the goodwill you've already sown, and it's a long time coming, and it might involve a large sum of money or some other more profound change, but much more likely this is going to be a fortunate karmic closure. Some person, place, situation that just has served its purpose feels like it is leaving, whether that's energetically you let go, or in a very practical sense, you are freed to align with, to get excited about all it is that you have yet to do in this lifetime, and you glimpse it. There's so much more ahead. Virgo, friendships, group alliances, how you see particular friends now, or particular people that you're aligned with where you work together professionally, or you get together more personally, well, it's all going to look really different in some cases in an instant. Where you might have felt frustrated with certain people, now it feels a whole lot more clear what's really going on. For some, you may decide to disengage. You realize you don't want to participate in that group anymore, or maybe certain people, as part of you growing now, they're no longer part of your path where it comes to the friends that you have in your life, but others still might be there for you in ways that you didn't expect, and they become part of you experiencing a sense of a new chapter. It's more grown, but they help to affirm things that you want to amplify in your life going forward, a more stable future. Libra, career, bosses, people in positions of authority. If you have felt frustrated in terms of your alignment or manifestation of what feels like higher purpose to you, that road ahead is going to feel a whole lot more clear and a whole lot more empowered as you understand what you can do to fuel a sense of growth in the direction that you desire now. What it is that you're meant to do in a higher sense might feel a lot more clear to you in a pathway towards it. This is you making practical gains. You might very well find yourself being able to align with something bigger and greater than what it is that you've known before. And it is rooted in what it is that you do well, where you've already proven expertise. That's where you can make big breaks. Now, it might also be the case that a higher up or a boss really comes through for you in a way that you hadn't anticipated, helping you to secure a win. Scorpio, legal matters, higher education, immigration, citizenship, and long distance travel are covered here. And if you have felt that any of these areas have stagnated as of late, this is where forward momentum can be found. You're empowered to make choices to move yourself in a positive direction, but it's also where you might find yourself getting the right assistance, the right advice from higher ups that actually can benefit you. If there are resolutions in a matter having to do with one of these areas, well, it looks like the outcomes are fair. Some mature decision is being reached, and that helps you to feel a lot more stable and better about whatever might have been taking place. If it is you that has felt resistant to taking on some sort of a new chapter, new adventure, well, that might feel a lot more in your grasp in a very practical sense. You're able to make plans, to see it through to fruition, to set up that experience you're longing for, to know it's coming up ahead. Also possible now is you feel a lot more empowered where it comes to your own sense of political involvement, or maybe a matter having to do with a religious or philosophical belief or institution. It's just that now you understand what you can do, and in doing it, you affect the kind of positive change you were hoping for. Sagittarius, truth, change, transformation, and wealth are covered here. If you've been trying to access funding or benefits that you qualify for, this is where it can feel like an answer finally comes through. You're able to move forward on that and attract what it is that you were hoping for, and it feels like the resources you need come together. Now, more personally, this can be you being very honest with yourself about the state of things, the deeper truth playing out in a certain situation that might have felt wrought with a lot of emotion. But as you're able to understand more deeply, that in and of itself changes your feelings around this. This might also be a powerful time where you understand how far it is that you've come in a transformative journey, feeling stronger as a result, physically, psychologically, and otherwise. Capricorn, love, partnerships of all kinds are covered here. And in an instant, you see a certain person very differently. It could be someone from your past. It might be someone who's there right now, or it might relate more to a pattern that you've demonstrated. But this is you making a conscious choice. This is you realizing what patterns you don't want to carry on anymore. And you are looking at things from a mature and measured perspective, enough to know what it is you're really wanting. If you are attracting new partners into your life right now, they absolutely hold the potential for something that could last a very long time to come. Aquarius, clients, customers, coworkers, immediate supervisors are covered here. And it's these types of people where there could be a newfound understanding or a greater sense of stability and clarity in your relationships with them now, which ultimately can be mutually beneficial all around. Now, this could also be you feeling a sense of reward, perhaps financially so, for what it is you do well, whether it's in your work or some skills that you've demonstrated. They can be part of greater prosperity for you. This could also be very positive news or changes where it comes to your health and how well you take care of you, leading you to feel that much stronger within. Pisces, romance, flirtation, what the heart is wanting in every area of life. And it could be a flirtation now that feels like it affects you very deeply and positively at that, but it helps you to see yourself in a way that's a lot more balanced and filled with hope and excitement for what could be ahead, regardless of what happens with a particular person. But this could also be you tapping into the power of clarity as to what's going to make you happy, what's going to make you feel that much more fulfilled. And once you know those answers, you're already on the path towards a greater sense of happiness overall. Great news, positive developments related to the children in your life are possible now also. Thank you for watching. It'll be a great transit. Enjoy.